You probably have heard his latest single on Christian radio entitled Breathe. The song focuses on finding rest in the midst of the rat race. Jonny Diaz wrote the song as part of his latest EP, Everything is Changing. And Jonny joins us now by Skype. Welcome, Jonny.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Talk about Breathe. I know that song has really ministered to me. How did it come about?
Yeah, so I have a lot going on in my life right now, as many people do. I have a 1-year-old at home who you might hear in the background a little bit during this interview. My wife and I own and operate a business in Nashville, Tennessee. It's a group training gym, a group fitness gym. And then in addition to that, I play music. And so I was writing songs for my latest record. And I remember literally scheduling in a block of time where I was going to write. And I remember just getting so frustrated thinking, I don't have time for this. I don't have any time to sit down and spend 4 hours, 5 hours writing a song when who knows if anyone's even going to hear it. And I was just kind of convicted in that moment and just felt like, I realized I was looking a lot more like Martha, running around like crazy, trying to do what I thought God wanted. And I realized that the hero of that story is Mary, who just sat at God's feet and rested and just, took in his presence. And I was really letting my serving God replace my knowing God. And so, with that in mind, I wanted to write a song that would remind me to breathe, to remind me to just take a moment, to be Mary instead of Martha. And I never knew anyone else would get to hear it, but I'm so glad that they have.
Yeah, definitely. It's a powerful song. Your latest EP is entitled Everything is Changing. What do you hope listeners take away from the record?
Just an authenticity. I've never felt called to write pretty songs. I've just been called to write real songs. And so I have a song about my daughter, and it talks about all the ups and downs, the struggles and everything of being a new father, rather than just painting this pretty picture of it. We live in an Instagram society that wants to filter every picture and make our lives look amazing. And so with my music, I want to take that away and take the veil away and just, be real and authentic.
Well, for those of the people that will be watching this that are not familiar with your music, talk about your style. And I know many people have heard your early #1 hit, More Beautiful You. Talk about your style and how it all came about.
Yeah, so I'm a singer-songwriter at heart. The songwriting is probably my favorite part of the process. I love being able to record the songs. I love being able to perform them live, but the writing is where I feel most gifted. And so, if I can do my best to kind of bring that through in a live concert or bring that through in a record, that this was once a guy sitting on a couch writing a song, then I feel like I've done my job. We surround it with drums and bass and guitars and all this fun stuff. But at the end of the day, I wanted to sound like a guy that wrote a song and a guy who was just kind of trying to speak the truth through the song. So that's a little bit of my style. There's all those elements in there, but ultimately it all kind of circles around to the voice and the guitar, because that's how I write my songs. And so it's just an acoustic singer-songwriter at heart.
How did you get into Christian music? I understand at first you were considering a career in baseball.
Yeah, which sounds kind of silly, but in my family, we take it pretty seriously. My older brother, Matt, played in the big leagues for almost 10 years and had a great career, mostly with the Atlanta Braves. And so I wanted to follow in his footsteps and got a scholarship to play at Florida State University. And, it was right where I thought I needed to be in order to achieve my dreams for baseball. And God made it really abundantly clear as a freshman at Florida State back in 2013. 2003. I just skipped a decade. 2003. God just made it so clear that, he had a plan for me and baseball wasn't part of it. And so he's been opening doors for music, and I kind of took it from a hobby into a passion at that point. I started being something, it stopped being something for me and started being something that I wanted to share with other people as well.
When did you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
At a very young age. I remember I was probably 3 or 4 years old, and I was in the shower with my brother who was 5, and he said, "You need to pray this prayer with me." So obviously my understanding of what I prayed at that time has continued to grow throughout the years. And honestly, even I'm 33 now, and my understanding of what that prayer really meant it still comes to life a little more every day. But I remember a moment in college where, I was striving to play baseball, trying to ignore God every time He made it clear that He wanted me to lay that down. And I was just miserable because I was ignoring God. And I at that point, I not only gave my heart to God, but I decided to give my life to Him as well, and just say, you know what, God, apart from You, I have nothing. Apart from Your plan, I'm miserable, and so I want what You want for me. And that was a big turning point in my walk.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh man, it probably has nothing to do with music at all. I just want my legacy to be that I was a guy who was authentic, a guy who loved Jesus and loved other people. And I don't always live up to that, but I think it simplifies down to just that. I want people to know that I love God and I love them.
And for people that are going to be seeing this interview, do you have like maybe one particular message for them, something that you want to get across to them?
Sure, I've always felt called to be vulnerable on stage, to admit where I have flaws and scars, and I want to encourage them to do the same. That thing that you went through that you hated, that thing where you cursed God and said, "Take this away from me," and it left such a deep wound, such a deep scar. That has actually uniquely equipped you to be used by God in a way that only you can be used, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's just hard to see when we're in the midst of it. So just encourage you, whether you're in the middle of it or you've got a scar from it, just be vulnerable and let God use it.
Okay. Jonny Diaz, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.